Another thing about special moves, and this is the most important thing about special moves. This is the most important thing about special moves is that you can cancel your normal attacks. Like I said, these are called normal attacks into special moves. Now this is not going to be universal for every normal attack that you have, but for the most part you can cancel them. So in other words, normally if I wanted to do two normals, I would have to do medium and then medium. The medium has to finish swinging. You have to see Granblue finish pulling his arm all the way back before you can perform another medium. So I can do medium and then throw a fireball like so if after I wait for the medium to finish, because after the medium finishes, my character returns to a neutral state is what this is known as. If I'm standing there and my character can do whatever I want him to do, this is a neutral state. However, I actually don't even have to wait that long. Because special moves can be canceled out of normal attacks, this is known as buffering special moves or canceling normals. So if I can perform the quarter circle forward into L fast enough that I hit the button at the same time my sword hits Catalina, so you hear the ting as soon as my sword hits the opponent. If I can finish my quarter circle forward L sequence, by the time the sword hits them, I can cancel this into a fireball. You see that Gran doesn't even have to finish swinging his sword all the way back. It's literally a cancel. I'm literally stopping the animation of my standing medium attack and going straight into a fireball. This is really important because this is where we start getting more into combos. So for example, if I'm at this range and I do this into fireball, you'll see it says 2-chain on the side of my screen over there, which means it's a 2-hit combo. If the opponent gets hit by medium punch and then tries the block, they can't. The fireball will actually hit them before they can recover from the hit of the stand medium punch. If I try to do what I did before, let medium finish and then fireball, you'll see that that doesn't combo at all. So I'm going to set the training dummy here to block, and it's not a combo. But if I cancel it, now you see that it says 2-chain, which basically means it's a 2-hit combo. So that is one of the important things for canceling moves, is it allows you to perform combos. Another thing that's really important about canceling moves is if the opponent is blocking, for example, blocking everything, you can use this for pressure. So even though they're defending against it, I can use this to throw a projectile, push her out in this range, and she has to think about what I want to do next. So I can do this and then come in with a boot out of nowhere. I can do this and run in afterwards and repeat the sequence. So I can run in and do medium punch, cancel in the fireball all day. There's a lot of benefits for using these things even if the opponent defends. Gran standing heavy punch reaches really far, and I can throw a fireball this far away and keep the pressure on my opponent and keep doing chip damage as well. Most importantly is that at the end of every character's auto combo, so remember we talked about auto combos. For every character, the last hit of your auto combo is always cancelable into a special move. This lets you perform longer combos. I mentioned that Gran has the sword thrust into the boot follow-up. So that means I can do auto combos, sword thrust, boot follow-up, and now I've gotten myself a 5-hit combo. So this is something that's very important about special moves, is that they allow you to maximize the damage on your opponent. I could just hit him with an auto combo like this and do nothing, and that's not that much damage, or I can add extra damage, or I can do into an uppercut and do even more damage, and so on and so forth. Being able to cancel normals into special moves is a very, very key factor of special moves. So that is something else that you want to learn about doing special moves. Now, I know a lot of people are, oh, when I play fighting games, I have trouble. I don't like doing these weird quarter circle forward motions. They're really complicated, and I have trouble performing this. I don't know how to do these motions and stuff. Well, you're in luck, because Granblue Fantasy Versus tries to help you out with that. There is a 6th button that I haven't talked about. You can see in the virtual pad down there. That is the yellow button that's labeled AB for ability. So I have these buttons over here, light, medium, heavy. I have unique. I have the guard button here, but then I have the ability button here as well. And if you notice, when I hit the ability button, it made me throw a fireball. So if you have trouble doing quarter circle forward, you can just hit this button and it'll throw a fireball for you. Now, for the first time, I want you to look at the top of the screen here. I want you to look at the top of the screen and you see the 4 little boxes under my life bar up there. There's the blue box, the red box, the yellow box, and the orangish box, I think it is. And you'll notice that one does not have a symbol on it, one has a forward arrow on it, one has a down arrow on it, and one has a back arrow on it. That is representing what direction you have to hold to perform that special move by holding that direction and pressing the ability. Because the blue box has no arrow on it, that means if I let the controller go and I hit the ability button, it makes me throw the fireball. And you can see now something's happening with that blue box up there. If I hold forward and do it, I come out with the rising upper, the DP move. And you see the corresponding box with the forward, the red box, all of a sudden grays out when I do this move. If I hold down, I do the sword thrust, and if I hold back, I do the boot. And you can see how now this ability button helps you perform these special moves even if you can't do the motions. If you have trouble doing DP motions and you have trouble getting this out, I can hold forward and hit ability and it'll come out for me. Okay, so what's the downside of doing this? Why would I ever want to not just use that ability button if I want to do fireballs and uppercuts? Why do I want to learn all of the old motions? Because if you look at this, I can also do auto combos using and cancel with those buttons. So I can hit forward and ability and I'll get my uppercut combo out. If I want to do this into fireball, I can just tap fireball, I can just tap fireball like this. Why would I want to learn any of the motions? Well, look at this setting here in the menu. You'll see skill cooldown and it says fast cooldown or default. I have it on fast cooldown right now, so I'm going to set it to default now. This is where playing League of Legends is going to help you guys a little bit. If you guys have played League of Legends, or if you've played a lot of different MOBAs, or just a lot of PC games, one of the common concepts you'll see in a lot of games is the concept of cooldown. When you do something, you can't do it again for a while. So if you watch now, that box up there, now that I've set the cooldown from fast cooldown to default, this is a training mode option only thing. By default, when you are playing in a match online, you can't do fast cooldown. You only have default. If you watch me, when I hit the button over here, you see how it takes a while to fill up. So after I throw this projectile, I actually can't do it again until the box fills up. You notice this, that it takes a while for it to fill up, but not that long. It's pretty quick, it's not that bad. But then you look at something as my rising upper, if I do this, different moves have different cooldown rates. And then I can finally uppercut again. Same thing is gonna happen with the sword thrust. And then I can finally do the sword thrust. Same thing's gonna happen with the boot. And now I can finally boot. So it takes a while for these things to come back up. So that is the downside of performing your moves with the single ability button. So you're saying, well, what happens when you do it with the actual motion? So if I actually do the full DP motion to do the rising upper, Do you see how fast that fills up? This is on regular cooldown. I can do this all I want. It fills up even before I land. If I throw a fireball, you see how fast it fills up? I can just throw a fireball right away. Even on the sword thrust, I can do as many sword thrusts as I want. However, if I do the uppercut with that button, I can't do anything anymore. I can't even uppercut using the traditional method. As long as the thing is cooling down, you cannot do that attack at all. Now, what you're gonna ask me is, well, dang it, doesn't that mean I'm forced to use the motions again as well? Not necessarily. What you wanna understand is that in order to start learning this game, if you're not good at the motions, feel free to take the time to use the ability button and get used to using these things just so you have access to it, especially stuff like fireballs, because it does refill pretty decently. So if you have trouble with quarter circle forward motions, feel free to use it every once in a while because it does refill a little bit faster. And then when they jump at you, you can hit them out of the air with that. But then if you notice, if you use it in smart times and actually hit them with this, you know, the opponent's going to be recovering, and then you can keep attacking, and during that time you're attacking, the cooldown's still coming up, so by the time you finish your offense, hopefully the cooldown will have run out by then. So you can actually learn to use these things and still play the game, and still have a chance to play. But eventually, as you get better at the game, you're going to want to transition at some point to mostly using the actual motions for the game. But the beautiful thing about Granblue Fantasy Versus is they give you a good way to learn the game, learn the pace of the game, learn how to play neutral with this skill button, and then you can start learning the motions later. When you're learning all of it at the same time, you will be overwhelmed. So again, one of the most important things, learn how to play the game. Go ahead and use the ability buttons early on. Unless you're a fighting game veteran, go ahead and start using all the motions. But learn how to play the game with the ability button at first if you have trouble doing these motions. Then, as time goes on, start trying to say, you know what? I'm gonna learn how to only just throw fireballs better, but I'll still do this for the uppercut. Then as you keep playing, you're like, all right, I feel comfortable enough with so much of the game that I'm going to learn how to do the uppercut motion. Give yourself time. Don't rush yourself into everything too quickly, okay? Really give yourself time. If you're new to fighting games, start with the ability buttons and grow from there. I think that's really important as a fighting game newcomer. Even pros are going to use the ability button as well. There's some cases for characters like Charlotta who have moves that are charge moves. Again, I don't want to get into too much details about that right now, but normally you can't do those kind of moves while walking around. But with the ability button, you can. And so some, even at the highest levels, will use the ability button to perform certain moves that you normally can't do at a given notice.